welcome back to the AM Weekend Show. Sorry, we're going to be taking our newspaper review first before we go to the gym. So we'll begin with Voice of Liberty. The boldest headline we have here says, Jonathan hasn't pulled out of 2027 presidential race. This is credited to his cousin. Also on this paper, Sokoto, many feared dead in another boat accident. And finally, on this paper, our party not distracted by 2027 politicking. APC slams Bauchi governor. That's what we have on Voice of Liberty. Moving on to Saturday Independent.
And on Saturday Independent, the boldest headline says, single and searching how youth silently battle frustrations in Nigeria's marriage market. Also on this paper, we have Afenifere expresses concern over kidnapping in Kwara, Ogun. Authors, Rivers State uncovers 5,297 ghost workers, 6,314 ghost pensioners. And lastly on this paper, 2024 Budget Office explains delay in implementation reports, pledges timely releases by September 2025.
All right, moving on to Saturday Punch. The boldest headline here says, mixed fortunes as power supply improves. Lagos, Ogun, Osun, Ekiti, Delta. Bayelsa residents loud steady electricity. Band A customers grown as Ondo, Sokoto, Yobe, FCT decry poor supply. Also on this paper, 30 states set for youth conference. Varsity prof demand 2.5 million naira salary. And finally on this paper, protest rocks Lagos community as cop gunned down motorcyclist. Moving on to The Matrix.
And to the Matrix paper, the boldest line said, amid outrage, emergency rule, previous local government election holds today. Election conducted by sole administrator is unconstitutional. This is by APAC and others. Adequate security has been put in place to protect lives and properties. This is credited to RSIEC. Also on this paper, we have Nigerians to pay a mandatory $80 duty on all US-bound shipments. This is by NIPOST. And lastly on this paper, Obi slams passport fee hike, says it shows federal government's disconnect from Nigerians.
All right, moving on to The Nation. The boldest headline here says, Imo Ebonyi pay rise. Governors under pressure to raise minimum wage. Move by Southeast states commendable, says Ajero. Plateau, don't push government's finances to the edge. Taraba, no funds available for increment. Police engage hoodlums in 15-hour gun duel. 4 killed, abduction victim rescued. Also on this paper, FG to release 2024 budget performance report next month. And that is the much we can take on The Nation. We'll move to Saturday Tribune.
And now to Saturday Tribune, we have the boldest headline which says, ADC woos Jonathan for 2027 race. Ex-president weighs party options. APC mocks him, says he cannot defeat Tinubu. You can find more of that on page 4. APC, PDP ignoring insecurity, hunger, public anger in favor of power-sharing games ahead of 2027 election. This is credited to Dalong. And also on this paper, we have Niger Delta youths condemn call for sack of NNPCL boss, and that's the much we can take from this paper.
Moving on to Saturday Vanguard, the boldest headline says, Open grazing conflicts claim 2,800 lives in 5 years, while law against it has failed. 2.2 million people displaced in Benue Plateau, Nasarawa. Also on this paper, Delta 2007. Omo Agege rebuffs pressure to surrender Oborevori. Also on this paper, Jonathan Consulting not out of 2027 race, says brother. And finally, 2027 Wike's shadow still hangs over PDP's fight to unseat Tinubu. Makinde's puzzle draws attention. Moving on to This Day.
And to This Day paper, we have Jonathan has not ruled himself out of 2027 contest, says cousin. Bala Mohammed, PDP considering former president to be for presidential ticket. With renewed confidence, stock market gains 26.01 trillion naira in 8 months. And also on this paper, Ankara Nigerian fabrics dominate spotlights at parties globally. And that's the most we can take from this paper.
Moving on to Blueprint Weekend, the boldest headline here says racism claims. Kemi Badenoch reaping fruits of the seed she sowed, says Nigerians. She's in a lose-lose situation, says diplomat. Her story, a warning against self-denigration for assimilation. Never forget, chastise your roots. Also on this paper, we have a headline that says Lagos records 8,692 cases of sexual abuse in 1 year. World Cup qualifiers, Shell settles for Wabali, 22 others. And finally, calm returns after police-youth clash in Lagos. That's what we have on Blueprint Weekend. We'll move to Leadership Weekend.
Okay, now to Leadership Weekend, we have September 23 resumption, angry reps, plant shut down with speaker over staff hiring, constituents funding. This is on page 4, and it has riders allege only House leadership benefited from 785 staff recruitment, accused speaker others of selective funding of constituency projects, non-payments of local contractors. Also on this paper, we have Obasanjo blames successors for inability to curb corruption. More of this on page 7. And lastly, on this paper, we have Polytechnic workers give federal government 21-day strike notice over salary arrears. Also, let me take this last from this paper. We have Minister Defense price hike, says Ugandan women purchased Nigerian passports with $1,000. And that's the much we can take from this paper.
All right, moving on to the final paper we have here. This is Weekend Trust. The boldest headline here says, in 2 years, Lagos gets 3.9 trillion naira projects. Also on this paper, we must avoid Rwanda type of conflict. Alhaji Lawal Sani says, inside banditry in Northwest, you find that on page 29. Rivers vote in highly contested polls. And finally, Alabarago Markets demolition, our story by traders. This is so much. We still have another headline here that says, FG makes U-turn, admits agreement with ASU. And finally, another Katsina LGA sign peace deal. So much headlines on the papers, and I think they are different. There are just so many different.
No, I don't think anyone occurred twice in any paper.
You sure about that? I think there could be one or two. I came across one or two about Jonathan contesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I saw that on quite a number of the papers. But there's one that caught my attention. The uncovering of ghost workers at River State. I don't believe we're still talking about that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I don't believe we're still talking about that.
It's still like that. You know, I feel like it's still a problem that we need to look into. I mean, as a country, we still have these loopholes where people take advantage of opportunities like this. I remember when I was younger, when we were still close to the old school board, there was this man. So when you work, I think when you work in school board that particular time, there are quarters where you live there. So this man literally, at the age of 70 something, getting to 80, I know that he already had grandchildren and he's still living in there as a staff, not even as a retiree. So he always, when he gets close to when he's about to retire, I don't know how he works it, he adds more years to himself. So it's a loophole that the government needs to look into and make sure that, you know, it doesn't happen, doesn't continue to happen. I mean, we're in 2025. It's not supposed to be stories we listen to anymore.
I mean, there are just so many. I don't know why reading the papers can just be stressful. Now, I'm seeing one here. I saw this yesterday as well. It says Nigerians to pay mandatory $80 duty on all US-bound shipments. Is from NIPOST. We also saw the one talking about the increment in acquiring international passports. We're going to talk more about that on social media trends, but it begs the question, is the government really... Oh, did you see the paper? It says when Obi, the one that talks about Obi's comment concerning the international passport increment, there's a disconnect between the government and the people. Because I don't see why we are crying every day. And what we're getting are policies that still puts mouth pressure on us. Mouth pressure on our finances. What's going on?
And at the end of the day, they want to review their own salary and increase it. It's a lot of things. I don't most of the times I don't just want to think about, a lot of things we face here in Nigeria. It's painful that the government who is supposed to represent us put our any decision, puts the people first before any decision. Just go ahead, wake up one morning and they just put out something. And I think it was in the news update that I read where they said is to ensure faster, getting your visa, your passport faster, and all those things they said around it. We know Nigeria. At the end of the day, there's no way you can, it's not going to change anything. The prices is not solving any problem at all. There's no immediate problem it's about to solve. It's just another way of, extorting from the people, if I should put it like that.
Honestly, I don't even know if to say I'm disappointed. There's this pain I feel inside of me. I don't know if to call it, if I'm calling it disappointment, I'm feeling like I'm not doing justice to it.
That's
because again, what am I expecting? Because this has been happening for the longest time. But it really breaks my heart to see that. And they make us believe that there's something we're looking forward to. Whenever a new policy that is meant to bring us down financially comes up, they'll tell you it's because of a greater benefit. They'll try to trace it to something that we should look forward to. And till now, we've not seen any of this.
Let's see.
When people come out, some of these people in authorities come out and they hailed the president. They said he's making good policies. This is doing this is doing that. We're not seeing it reflect. We're not seeing it. So you keep bringing these things and we're hoping that, okay, we're heading somewhere. We're not heading. It doesn't look like we're heading anywhere.
We're just running around. Rigmarole. We're just running around. One of the reasons why they changed this price or they increased this price is to make it faster so that you can get your passport in 1 week. Let's see if it's going to work.
And there's something I'm trying to say. I don't know if people... Is that our concern right now? Is that the most important thing right now?
It's painful that's where we see
faster international
passport. And many other things that we've been suffering.
We already have ways of getting it faster here in Nigeria.
People do their thing.
And they'll
still do their thing. This wouldn't stop them from doing their thing. And now Polytechnic is giving 21 days ultimatum to go for strike, and nobody's talking about anything there. Nobody's saying anything. What we're focusing on is how to increase price so that we can get our passport and run away from Nigeria. So you're now supporting everybody to run away from Nigeria.
That's a conversation for another day. But yeah, it's okay. It's what it is. The papers have always, I don't know, I'm looking forward to a time that reading Nigerian papers will not be this sad. I'm looking forward to that time. But away from newspaper right now, we'll be going to the gym. Just take your positions and join us as we walk out. We'll be right back.